So it appears that the rumors about Kingda Ka's removal, like I thought when I made a video about it being something that totally mystified me, are false. But the precedent that removing Kingda Ka would have set is real. So let's start with, how do I know the rumors about Kingda Ka's removal are false? Yeah, that'll do it. The fact that the park has already filed their demolition permits for a bunch of rides, including Green Lantern, which was not given the send-off that it deserves, very much disrespecting the fans of that ride. And if they were going to demolish Kingda Ka, they would have filed for demolition permits with the other rides that were part of this. And to anyone who mentions that Green Lantern sucks, look, I'm not arguing with you. It's the worst coaster I ever rode. I got a stress fracture in my foot because of Green Lantern, so, I hate it more than the standard enthusiast. But guess what? It still has its fans that deserve to give it a proper send-off. This isn't about how good the ride is. This is about having basic respect for the fans. Would you tell Mean Streak Henry that he doesn't get to give his favorite coaster a send-off just because it's a ride that was not popular with either the general public or coaster enthusiasts, just because it's a ride that we don't like? Would you have gone up to him and said, hey, you know that coaster that you really love, that's your favorite ride? Yeah, we're not even going to let you have a proper send-off. And to be clear, yes, I said Six Flags. I did not say President Brian Basica of Six Flags Great Adventure, because this is a chain-wide issue, as you can see I'm showing above. The same thing happened to Lava Bora at Six Flags Over Texas because Richard Zimmerman decided he was going to remove it without giving the ride a proper send-off. And if I happen to be wrong about Kingda Ka, like I said in my first video, and I'll say again, I will eat my words. But this really isn't about Kingda Ka. It's about respecting the fans. Something that Richard Zimmerman does not seem very interested in doing. I'm not saying don't remove these rides. I am saying have a little bit of respect for the fans and allow us to give the rides a send-off. And quite frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if, knowing how tight-knit the influencers are with the parks, I would not be surprised if they decided, hey, let's start this rumor that a lot of the normie enthusiasts are going to just believe in the name of making it so that we can distract from the backlash of doing these ride removals without giving proper send-offs and giving the fans the respect that they deserve. I honestly would not be surprised if it was something decided behind the scenes between these influencers to do that as something that, hey, the normies will believe, and that aren't well connected with people who are high up in the park. The influencers decided it was something they were going to put out there so that, say, when Lava Bora and Green Lantern, among others, get removed without an announcement, the backlash is basically non-existent because they want us to be all too happy about the fact that Kingda Ka is staying. It feels like something cynical to me, where it's like, hey, let's start this rumor, but we're going to make the precedent true, but no one's going to get mad about the fact that we're doing this because the big one ended up not to be a thing, which, it's still every bit as disrespectful to the fans, which is what this is really about. So what is my ultimate response to this? Well, like it has been because of personal issues that I have with the company as a whole and how I would feel about making free advertisement for them, I'm going to say this. My approach is the same as it was after that day, I'm paid off through 2025. I'm going to go to the parks. I'm going to enjoy the rides. I'm going to do what I can do, given that I have friends who are coaster enthusiasts. I like hanging out with them. I'm going to be going to the parks, enjoying the rides, and doing what I can. I'm paid off through 2025. What I'm not going to be doing is I'm not going to be buying merch. I'm not going to be making videos inside of Six Flags Entertainment Company parks. I'm not going to be doing anything that could potentially promote Six Flags Entertainment Company, even in the most minute way. Even with a small platform, I feel like making videos in those parks is somewhat of a promotion of them. So I will not be promoting the chain of parks. I will still be going and enjoying the rides. I have coaster enthusiast friends that I'll be going to the parks with. But I will not be promoting the parks. I will also not be spending a dime on merch in the parks. Because Six Flags Entertainment Company, if they want to disrespect the fans, they're going to get the fans that are paid off season pass holders through 2025, just riding their season pass, going and doing rides, not spending money in the parks. That's what they're getting out of me. And then, by the way, I'll just say this. 2026, about me getting a season pass, we'll see. We'll see. Not making any promises given this behavior from the company. So, I'm just going to say, as far as the Six Flags Cedar Fair merger, when the merger was announced, I was out here making memes, having fun. I was saying, let's wait and see how it goes. It's too early to tell if it's a good thing or a bad thing for enthusiasts. I was probably the least critical of the merger from the perspective of being worried about it being a monopoly. Now it seems that it's been a full character arc reversal, where I'm the one who's saying this merger is the worst thing in the world because we've got ride removals without proper send-offs. We've got coasters stolen from parks that didn't even have a top 3 given to Cedar Point. I mean, for goodness sake, let's compare Richard Zimmerman to his predecessor, Salim Basoul. So Salim Basoul, when he stepped in as CEO to Legacy Six Flags, he was like, yeah, we're not going to add anything, and we're going to increase prices because we don't want the parks to be a teenager hangout. That's what he was saying, and he did that, and he got backlash for it. A lot. And he deserved it. But you know what he did in response to that backlash? He lowered prices. He purchased some canceled projects from Europe. You can comment on how well they've worked out, but you can't say he's not trying to improve the parks by putting those investments into the parks after the fact that he got backlash for not investing in the parks while increasing prices. You can't say that he doesn't listen to the criticism. Now, Richard Zimmerman, is he going to listen to any of this criticism? I don't think so. I really don't think so. I think because in all of the big cities, he's essentially got a monopoly now because, people talk about, oh, there isn't that much overlap. Do you realize how big of a market share LA, New York City, Philadelphia, do you realize how big of a market share having Dorney and Great Adventure and Magic Mountain and Knott's? Do you realize how big of a market share that is where there was some competition? Or, even because Like, I mean, I know in Canada, the idea of going to La Ronde, if Canada's Wonderland is your home park, is not something that it's just enthusiasts that do. So even like Canada's Wonderland, La Ronde, like, I mean, really? You don't think these parks are at least somewhat competing with each other? So now that they have a monopoly and Richard Zimmerman is making these unannounced removals, he's stealing coasters from smaller parks to send them to Cedar Point. I just want to say, are you still relieved that it's Cedar Fair execs that are in charge? And do you not see how much better of a CEO Salim Basul was than Richard Zimmerman? Just something I felt I needed to mention.